Minutes left, Deputy Kathleen Lynch. 8 minutes left.
Thank you very much, Lascount Corla. Lascount Corla, I'd like to start off by congratulating Deputy Willie Penrose on bringing forward this motion. I think most of us were shocked and amazed when the details of the budget came out. Not so much when the Minister for Finance made his speech, because there was no detail in that, but when the detail of the budget came out, and we were completely shocked. And I'm not certain why we were shocked, because at the end of the day we've had 13 years now of Fianna Fáil rule, and we know at this stage that at the end of the day, when it comes to protecting their friends, Fianna Fáil are masters at it. So if anyone else was putting together this budget, and a budget which I think at the end of the day came to the government taking just about under 5 billion out, not the 6 billion that they had announced, but in fact just under the 5 billion. And I don't think you can include into that either the once-off sale of state assets, because that's a once-off thing and that's never again going to happen, and they won't have that next year. But when it comes to adjusting our finances, there is no one like Fianna Fáil for exposing the type of class-ridden society that we are. Anyone else would have started at the top. Anyone else would have said that those working in semi-state companies at the top who are earning in excess of 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, that they should have their salaries halved. That didn't happen. Anyone else would have said that all of the consultants that we have as employees in the state sector should have their wages reduced. That didn't happen. And it is as if somehow that the woman that cleans the hospital is a lesser being than the consultant. And she isn't. She isn't. She's as important, she's as pivotal to the health of the patients as the consultant is. But Fianna Fáil doesn't recognise that, because at the end of the day, the only people that they have any kinship with are in fact people of great wealth. So when you would take a look at this budget, you would say to yourself, who put this budget in place? And clearly, the people that put this budget in place are people so far removed from the everyday life of ordinary people that they don't even realise the consequences of it. I met 3 women yesterday afternoon walking through town, and one of them was a widow, one of them was a lone parent, and the other person was a person on the minimum wage. And the 3 of them, now, of the 3 of them, I think the other 2 walked away feeling sorry for the person on the minimum wage, because at the end of the day she was going to lose 41 euros per week out of her income. 41. But the widow had been done over twice, and the lone parent had been done over as well. And these were 3 average women walking on an afternoon, looking for work, one of them working, all of that. And yet this government had done that, but they had one message, Minister, and it was this: get rid of this awful government. They don't realise what the rest of us have to put up with. We're facing into Christmas, and people on minimum wage will now be left with less than 300 euros to live on. That is to put their food on the table, to buy toys for their children, because believe it or not, the poor still celebrate Christmas. But this year they will have less to celebrate with. And this government, instead of starting at the top, started at the bottom again. And that's what they've always done. But what worries me about this move in relation to the minimum wage, and the previous 2 speakers are right, it's not good employers that are looking for this, and thankfully we have very good employers out there. They're not looking for this. They know that a happy workforce means a more productive company. What worries me desperately about this particular move is that it's not about the minimum wage. This is about social welfare, and that's where this is going. And this is about driving it down and making sure that the gap will be greater. Making sure that the gap between what you get for work and what you get from the state will be even greater. And people out there on social welfare, through no fault of their own, who have worked for the last 10 years and have never been unemployed and now find themselves at the mercy of this awful government, really need to sit up and take notice. And people on the minimum wage who will not be able to afford the increases in health, education and their utilities, and who will not be able to afford to put food on the table for Christmas. I hope that come the general election in January and February, that as one woman said to me when the Fianna Fáil canvasser came to her door last weekend, she said, "Not alone," she said, "have you blighted my life, but you have darkened my door. Get out of my house." And that's exactly what all of you are going to be told, Minister, when that day comes, and that day can't come too soon. And people on the minimum wage will not forget this, because it is the most dramatic drop in income that any single group has taken in this country. Any single group has taken in this country. And you'll sit there and you'll defend it, and your motion will defend it. And the Minister for Social Welfare, who up to this point, I must admit, I really did believe had some compassion for people depending on the state. I now believe he doesn't, because there is no minister with that portfolio would in fact have allowed this to happen. And when you're having your dinner on Christmas Day, Minister, you think of the people that you have done this to, the people whose lives you have destroyed. And I think that they will be waiting for you, not in the long grass, because this time, Minister, they'll be out in full view, and they'll be standing at their doors waiting for you to come. And they will tell you to do not darken their doors, to get out their driveway, as one was told last week. Minister, reverse this awful cut. You know it's awful, you know it shouldn't happen, and you should reverse it.